Welcome to Movie the Podcast. That's right, Movie the Podcast. It is Palentine's Day. This episode brought to you by some of the worst officiating in Super Bowl history. Shout out to Pat Mahomes' dickhead brother and cunt wife. I'm sure they're having a great day celebrating a victory that they didn't earn. So,
dude, Patrick Mahomes is such a fucking nerd. Like, every time he talks, it's like, just stop.
I hate him. I don't hate him. I just hate his brother and his wife. Kind of like Andy Reid, his big dumb face.
Yeah, he likes hamburgers.
He likes hamburgers. I like hamburgers. He's an everyday Joe.
I mean, I was really pulling for Gardner Minshew to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for real.
He doing nothing, but what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? So anyway, it's Palentine's Day. We watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit, a Bob Hoskins just gem of a film.
Am I the only one when Bob Hoskins has his shirt off thought he should play Wolverine in some movie they never made?
When Bob Hoskins in that movie, I think he was 4. I looked it up because when he popped his shirt off, I was like, it's not too bad, Hoskins.
He has that
46 in that movie, I think. Perfectly
cast because he's got that 1950s tough guy physique.
He's got the burly, he's got there's muscle under there. Things have happened, He's a beefy boy.
He was 47 when this was made.
I think it was 46 or 48. I forget. Wow. I did the math because I was like, I had that moment of realization, am I older than Bob Hoskins is in this movie right now? And I was not.
Yeah, so I think we have a lot of thoughts on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But before all that, what did you all watch this week? Alec?
What did I watch? Get my stupid iPhone. Facial recognition takes forever. Technology's dumb. Oh, no, I didn't write down what I watched this week.
Oh, no.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, man. What did I watch this week? I watched Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Hell yeah.
That movie's great, but every time I watch it, I hate him more and more.
You hate
Scott Pilgrim
the character?
Such a fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
I can't stand him. But everything in that movie is so good around him and him. Michael Cera plays him, tremendously. But God, he's just the fucking worst.
TJ, you've read the comics. Is it explicit that he's a piece of shit in the books more so than in the movie?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think they do a good job in the movie. It's weird because, I think upon further viewings, I think they did a good job. But when I first watched it, I didn't think it came across well in the film. But yeah, in the book, it's explicit. I mean, like I said, there's plenty of lines in the movie where they point to how Scott's this dickhead and everything he's doing, even dating Knives is him.
Yeah, he's in his 20s dating a high schooler and
and he's just hoping that she's gonna he's gonna be so cool to this high school kid and he kind of fucks over everybody and that's kind of his character. But he's kind of he's a fuck boy, before that term existed. That's kind of what his character is.
Guys, give me the Subaru. Sorry.
All right.
Got dog stuff going on over here.
A lot of dogs in the fire.
Yeah.
But that movie is still tremendous. It is a monumental feat of filmmaking achievement. It's so fucking good. Everybody's so good at it. It's a million words a second. If you're not paying attention to everything, you miss so much. There's still stuff that I catch that I'd never noticed before every time I see it. Just because, every line has, 5 different innuendos.
It's very, very tightly written for sure.
I love that it's oh, my dad sent me to Vegan Academy, and then Vegan Academy turns out to be a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fucking cops show up.
Well, the Goldstein, the podcast that Alec turned us on to, where they were interviewing Edgar Wright.
Films to be buried with.
Yeah. It was very interesting to hear Edgar Wright talk about that film because he was it's the only film he's directed that he didn't write. And he was like, I don't know. And as soon as he read the script, he's like, yeah, I love this. I can make this work.
I think it's my favorite Edgar Wright movie, to be honest. Like, not that I don't love the rest of his movies.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good oeuvre.
Yeah.
There's something about Hot Fuzz for me.
I do love that movie.
And I will apologize for The World's End, up one side and down the other. I think that movie fucking rules.
Who doesn't like that?
I don't think people give it its due, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
That movie does rule. I think it's because it's a movie about aliens that came out when everybody was still on their zombie fix.
Yeah.
But that movie does rule, especially when Nick Frost finally gives in to going drunk and starts, like, smashing people with stools.
When he picks up one bar stool in each hand and just starts mashing blanks or whatever they call it in the face, it's great. And that movie's got, like, a lot of, well, it's like all of Edgar Wright stuff. There's, like, strong emotional beats coupled with hilarious comedy and excellent action. The guy is a real, I know that TJ didn't like, I still need to watch Last Night in Soho. I know TJ didn't care for that, but.
It was not very good.
That's got everything TJ likes, too.
I know. It was
Edgar Wright. That girl with big eyes.
Anya Taylor-Joy. It's supposed to be a giallo. I should like that movie a lot, but it doesn't stick the landing at all.
The only other thing that I can think of that I watched parts of Ant-Man last night after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I was in and out of being drunk and ragefully angry at the end of the game. So I was kind of in and out on that. And I don't think I finished it. I think I went to bed.
You did. I was there.
Does anybody give a shit about that Flash movie?
No.
I give more of a shit now than I did.
I mean, it's going to be bad, right? Like the trailer looks.
Yeah, probably.
It's going to be bad.
It'll probably be bad, but.
And now I see all the nerds are losing their shit because I guess the Ben Affleck Batman in this has a blue and gray costume. It's like, guys, this is what we're getting. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, I don't care. Like, you people, like, they need to make a DC version of, I hope TJ will appreciate this. The scene in the end of Evangelion where Shinji just jerks off on that comatose person. It's like, this is you guys. Like, this is what you want. Huh. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Like, I don't know. Like, I was already embarrassed.
Dogs, you'd have to get TJ to explain reference to you later. It makes sense.
I already was embarrassed by comic book fans, but like, I swear to God, like, TikTok has like ruined me. Cause like anytime there's like a comic movie announcement, it's like they like lose themselves. Like this one guy, it was fucking hilarious. I saw he's like, if the Flash does really well and DC sticks with Ezra Miller, like I just give up on comic book movies. Like, no, you don't. Like you're not. Like your whole channel is about fucking comic book movies, bro. Like, shut the fuck up. Also,
isn't Ezra Miller like actively wanted by the law? Am I missing something?
He's a big piece of shit. Yeah. But like, who gives this is part of a fucking DC. Like, this is like the last thing of the like Snyderverse thing. So who knows? They're probably not gonna like this. This is like Black Adam. It probably has no bearing on the plans of the DCEU.
Oh, it's like a vestigial movie.
Pretty much.
It was made before they decided James Gunn was going to redo everything.
Kind of like what New Mutants was. Because remember, New Mutants was the last thing. Well, yeah, maybe.
Most of it was.
Anything else, Alec?
But yeah, that was all I watched. Sean.
When is that? Oh, I didn't watch anything. When does that new Ant-Man come out?
This Friday?
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah,
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for that, and then Guardians 3 comes out, and that's going to be a fucking bloodbath, I feel like.
Yeah. I do like the fact that they have, and I guess it's hypocritical, but I do like the fact they have their comic book jerseys in the movie.
Look at CJ jerking off all over himself because they got the classic Guardians outfits.
I didn't make a video about it. I literally just did a sentence about it. I didn't go to the internet and make a video freeze framing it and losing my mind.
Did you cry and film yourself crying over it?
No, I still can't get over when people were crying over the fucking Millennium Falcon in the Force Awakens trailer. Do y'all remember that?
No.
Oh yeah. Google it. There's like literally like thousands of people crying when they saw the fucking Millennium Falcon. It's like, just kill yourselves. Like, Jesus Christ.
There's so many better things you could cry over.
Basically anything.
Yeah.
So you didn't watch anything, Sean?
I did not. I want to watch that Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf thing though. So if you do see that floating around, thank you.
Does it have a title?
It's called Stand.
Is it like a full-length documentary or just like a...
No, it's a full-length documentary. Showtime, because they contracted Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, now they do all the smoke on Showtime. Like, they've gotten really into basketball.
Oh, is that... I think I've seen clips of their podcast on TikTok. One of my favorite ones that I see over and over right now is, I guess they have Magic Johnson on there.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the first time he met Larry Bird, and he's like calling his friends, like, "Oh, this guy is, he got that in him. He's one of us."
You would really like that podcast. Like they've had Garnett, they've had, all the people we like from growing up, but they get them to just like be totally candid, and it's like nuts some of the shit people say on there.
I'll check it out. What's it called? What's the podcast called?
All the Smoke.
All the Smoke.
Yeah.
All right, so pass the mic, Sean.
Gogs, what third of a movie did you watch on a microwave?
I watched 2 whole films.
Oh wow. Oh,
yeah, I know.
2 things.
2 things. And chunks of Ant-Man, because I was there. The first one, let's start with the first thing I watched. Or the second thing I watched, but the first thing I liked.
Hold on. Start over again. I'm already confused.
So I ended up watching Bullet Train, and I'm not going to lie, it's sort of a mess, but I enjoyed it.
No.
I did. I liked it. I don't know why.
No,
I know I shouldn't.
That?
Huh?
Didn't Sean watch that?
I watched
it. It's like a Guy Ritchie, Quentin Tarantino, look at me, senpai, like, sort of situation, but it's,
I mean,
I don't know, Brad Pitt.
Do you think it's a good movie?
No. No. It's not a good movie.
Fair.
That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying I enjoyed it. Like, so here's a good example. Last Friday, when me and my kids had movie night, because Liz was out doing something.
You watched Bullet Train?
No. We watched it. We got McDonald's, and I got a Big Mac, and I was like, I like this. I know it's not good, but I liked it. This is a Big Mac. This is okay. It's dumb, and the plot is ludicrous, but there's some fun shit in it. I'm not going to lie. I didn't hate Aaron Taylor Johnson in it, actually, and what he was bringing to the table.
Fine.
I'm just saying, I know it's not good, but it was not. I expected, and maybe I walked in with very low expectation. I expected it to be like just utter trash, and I was like, I'm kind of here for this. I can't recommend it to people. I mean, I can recommend it. I know exactly what I can recommend. I can recommend it to Scotty B, who, if the people, Alec and TJ know who that is, I think.
Scotty B?
Scott B.
Cuban B.
Vinny's brother-in-law. It's a very Scott movie.
This is a certified Vinny's brother-in-law banger.
But me and him would have a good time watching that. I could see that happening. And now the movie that I watched that sucked shit was
Citizen Kane.
No. That movie does suck shit, but I didn't watch it. The movie, I mean, it's about a sled, for Christ's sakes. Get over it.
It's not really about a sled.
Whatever.
It's about a cane.
Right. A cane that can vote. So I watched this. It's one of these classic movies that I think we keep running into where it's a movie with 2 titles because I guess they're trying to squash it. When I watched it, it was called Down by Dick Mass, but apparently it was originally called The Shaft.
Dick Mass?
The guy's name is Dick Mass. He wrote and directed it. It stars Naomi Watts. It has Michael Ironsides in it. It's got Ron Perlman in it. It's got a guy who apparently was in 23 episodes of Twin Peaks, James Marshall.
That's
plays James Hurley.
Yeah. I was going to say that's James.
Gogs, you ever seen the big forehead memes from Twin Peaks?
No, but that makes sense. Is he awful in that show? Because he was
he's a terrible actor, like a lot of people in Twin Peaks.
Okay,
but he's kind of meant to be terrible. Like the Twin Peaks is like cashing in on like a lot of soap opera acting.
Okay,
so it's like the Starship Troopers, Gogs. It's like that kind of thing.
Oh, I got you. Okay, well, this movie didn't quite nail. Like, if it leaned into being how bad it was, it could have been fun, but it didn't. It tried to take itself seriously. It's some of the worst acting I've ever seen. It was released in May of 2001 in New York City, so the Twin Towers still readily available. They name-checked Bin Laden for some reason during the film, because, and here's the lowdown on this movie. This movie is one of those rare films where you get to follow the lives of two former Marines, now elevator repairmen. And they are working on an elevator in the Millennium Tower, a 102-story skyscraper in New York City with 15,000 people that come in and out of it. And Michael Ironsides, who used to be some sort of German physicist who then got like kicked out of the army, now works for R&D for an elevator company, and he may or may not have spliced in like a human brain into the operating system of an express elevator, which has now become sentient and is killing people.
Okay. This just doesn't seem like one of those things you could just stop being.
Yeah, right? This is it. This is the movie. It's awful. It spends a lot of time in an elevator shaft. The elevators, everyone thinks it's terrorists, so that's why they name check Bin Laden, and they take a bunch of Stinger missiles to the roof, and the army's all over it, and the FBI's involved, and Naomi Watts is just the worst. And then
does she masturbate in it?
No, not even close. But then like the end of the movie is that guy from Twin Peaks. He takes a Stinger missile to the control panel of the elevator after the sentient elevator strangles Michael Ironsides to death for, I guess, capturing him in this I have no mouth yet I need to scream elevator prison sort of scenario. This movie sucks. It sucks so bad, but I did watch all of it. I watched it mostly because it was written and directed by a guy named Dick Mass. So there you go.
Dick Mass.
Do not watch Down or The Shaft.
Dick Mass with a movie called The Shaft. I mean, it's
Shaft. Do not watch 2001's The Shaft. They got in just under the wire. Don't watch that. It's not good.
That movie I watched a couple weeks ago, Pleasure. It's all about porn. One of the lead actors is named Chris Cock, and I'm pretty sure he's like a real adult film star, but his credited name in the movie is Chris Cock. I thought that was great.
With a Q?
No, regular.
Regular cock.
Just regular cock.
TJ, what'd you watch?
I watched one thing. I watched Mike Flanagan's first film, a movie called Absentia. It was okay. It's a little rough around the edges. You can tell he made it with like absolutely no budget.
Weren't you just telling me about this because it's like a Cthulhu-y or kind of a...
Yeah, the whole reason I heard about it is because I was watching some TikTok and they were talking about like underrated like Lovecraftian movies. And this is Lovecraftian, I mean, in a very like loose sense. They're dealing with some eldritch horror, but like it's pretty good. It's about this woman whose husband has gone missing for 7 years, and then her sister comes to town, and like she keeps seeing visions of her husband, and then there's some weird shit going on at this bridge underneath her house, or not underneath their house, but this bridge like next to their house. And it's pretty good. The ending is kind of weak, but like overall, like for like a first time filmmaker, and again, you kind of have to look past some of its budgetary problems. Like this thing, it's shot on video. You can tell, like, I think Flanagan did all the cinematography and everything himself. So it looks kind of amateurish, but overall, like, I can watch that movie and see, like, where his, like, writing and style comes from. Like, you can see it in that, like, it's written very well. The characters are done well. The horror scenes are done pretty well overall. It's just the ending is just kind of meh. But overall, I'd say it's a decent watch. It's nothing great, but I didn't hate it either. But that's all I watched. I watched, all of The Last of Us. I'm current on that. That's a fantastic show. I love it. I love the show so much now I'm replaying the fucking game again for like the 5th time. But that show is great. HBO, when they want to, they just crank it out of the park, cause that show is great. Everybody in it's really good. Like the last episode, Melanie Linsky, I think is her name.
Oh,
she
from,
was in, I Don't Feel at Home at This World. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's in it for an episode and she's really good in it. The 3rd episode with, what's his name? Ron Swanson is excellent. I mean, everybody was talking about it, but with good reason. Like, it's a very good, like, single episode story of it, or like for a show. Like, and that's kind of how most of the episodes are. They're more or less like vignettes that like Joel and Ellie come across, and then you see kind of the character that they run into storyline, and then by the end of the episode, how it all ties together. But it's really good. It's like really, really well done, and everybody's good in it. I don't know. I'm really into it. And as someone that's played the game and played the game before and is currently playing the game, they change enough about it where I don't feel like I know what's going to happen. Like, I mean, I think ultimately I know how it's going to end, but like they've changed a lot already. So I wouldn't be surprised if they keep doing that to keep you guessing, and who knows, they might do like major changes by the end of it, but either way, it's a very good show. I highly recommend it. So yeah, let's get into Roger Rabbit.
Hold on. Go back to Mike Flanagan for a minute. Did you ever watch his, The Haunting of Hill House?
I need to.
The show?
I didn't watch that, and I didn't watch the other one. He did a Midnight Mass. That was also him.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. I didn't love that. I watched the first few of season 2 of The Haunting, and I didn't think season 2 was great, but I thought season 1 was outstanding.
It's on my list. I've been meaning to watch it. One thing that's pretty cool about Absentia. So Mike Flanagan right now is currently working on a new Dark Tower movie, possibly series. And he's like the Stephen King guy, right? Like he's done he did Dr. Sleep, which I didn't care for, but I thought he did a good job. I just don't like the source material very much.
Did he
did Gerard's game? Yeah, which I really liked.
What was the one with Tom Jane and the farm and shit?
1922. I don't think that was him.
That was awesome.
I like that too.
That was incredible.
Yeah, Anthony watched it recently and said he didn't like it. I was really surprised. I was like, I really enjoyed it.
Anthony's an idiot, man.
That's awesome.
He's had one good movie opinion in his life, and it's about Jaws, the best movie of all time. Like, careful on that limb, bro.
But no, one cool thing I noticed about in Absentia, a little bit of an Easter egg. So the one character at one point is reading Dark Tower comic books. So it's like he said that he's wanted to make Dark Tower for years, and it's like it's there. You can tell he's a fan. It's kind of cool. I was like, that's fun. Like you really had to like pause to see it, but they were definitely Dark Tower comic books. Also, if you're a fan of the Dark Tower series, those comic books are fucking fantastic. It's like
is it easier to navigate those than read 5 million pages of?
No, the comics are very long. Also, the comics are like kind of like a side quel to the books. It's interesting the way they're written. Cause like, it's kind of an adaptation, but then it's also kind of like its own thing. It's really interesting. Oh, the art in it though, Jay Lee is, oh my God.
Oh, he's great.
Oh yeah.
It's fantastic. But anyway, yeah, Gogs, what happened to Roger Rabbit? I have to pee.
Okay, well, you got to pee. Sean's got network problems. We're into that Roger Rabbit habit.
Sean's got network problems.
That's what he told me, but now it looks like he's back. Really? Nothing. Got that Florida internet. Who Framed Roger Rabbit opens with a maroon cartoon brought to you by Acme, and we are introduced to Baby Harmon and the titular Roger Rabbit, as Roger Rabbit is tasked with keeping this baby alive through a series of Final Destination-esque pratfalls and almost murders in a really, really great animated sequence. Like, it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, it looks a lot like Kyle Baker comics. Like if you've ever read any of his stuff, like it's got like a really classic vibe to it.
Yeah, I am not familiar, but it seems like a very like a real love letter to like old Warner Brothers cartoons and like that style of animation. Also, I don't know, maybe Alec knows this because he's he always puts in the time and the research, like what it took to merge everything together, like to get like Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny in the same film. I gotta imagine it took a lot of negotiations, to make that happen.
When I was reading all the shit about this movie, like, it's hard to kind of piece together. Like, I guess, I didn't understand all the dealings between the different studios and stuff, and the studio heads, but it was basically like a 1-for-1. Like, one company is not going to have more screen time. Like, Disney wouldn't let Mickey Mouse be in it if he wasn't going to have the exact same amount of screen time as Bugs Bunny.
Well, and I'm assuming that's why a lot of those scenes, there's like one off next to each other, like the Donald and Daffy and the Mickey and
Bugs.
I was going to say,
but also,
like,
there's a lot I don't understand either, because like it said, like reading about it, like they got a lot of the original animators and stuff that were still alive to do the animation and voice and writing for the individual characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then it also said that like a bunch of them were really pissed off about how it turned out, and like you're the ones who you wrote it, like you wrote it yourself. How can you be mad at how it turned out when you wrote it?
It's not like you can just sneak the animation past people. That takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because when we'll get into it, but we were like texting about this movie. And so in this opening scene, right, we do all this, you go through this whole thing, it ends with Roger getting a fucking refrigerator smashed on his head, but he's getting yelled at by the director, who is Joel Silver of, movie producing history, screaming at him that he's looking at it's supposed to be Rabbit sees stars, he sees birds, he sees bells, he sees whatever.
This intro is animated so fucking well. Like, it blew me away.
I was saying it looked like that Kyle Baker stuff, like that Letitia Lerner Superman stuff.
It was just like, I haven't seen like hand-drawn animation like this in so long, and like it was just so well done. And all this is done on film, and like, I don't know, man, like it was just beautiful. Like I can't overstate how like it just looks so fucking clean. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, it was something else.
And you could tell, like, the animators were, like, flexing, too, because there's, like, everything is, like, super overdrawn, and, like, it's crazy. It's them showing off. Like, it was so good.
I was going to say you could never do this now, but since Disney basically owns all of this shit now, I guess you could, but you'd probably never have Mickey Mouse going, oh, you're going to die. Like, that kind of threw me for a second.
Oh yeah. There's plenty of things. You couldn't do this movie now. All the sexual shit, all the, like, smoking and, like, all the guns, like, none of it. If they made this now, it would be so much different. But I do remember as a kid, like, it was a big deal. And I remember, I think there was even, like, news stories about it at the time, but, like, seeing Warner Brothers and Disney characters on the screen at the same time was like a big deal.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the movie was not made by Disney. It's made by Touchstone, Amblin, and distributed by Buena Vista. Huh?
But that's part of Disney.
Oh, those are part of, okay.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about go ahead.
I was going to say Spielberg's ex-wife, or maybe it was his wife at the time, does the singing voice of Jessica Rabbit, Amy Irving.
Oh.
So I was going to ask, like, what's Spielberg, because I know Spielberg was involved in sneaking Joel Silver into this, 'cause apparently Michael Eisner hates Joel Silver, and so sneaking him in as Raoul's like a fuck you. But looking through the thing, I didn't see where Steven Spielberg had anything to do with this, unless he's just boys with Robert Zemeckis.
Zemeckis and him are buddies. They went to school together.
Okay. Part of that class where they all went to school together, like with him and them.
Milius and Lucas and David Lynch.
Yeah. Anyway. So you're introduced to Roger Rabbit. Roger Rabbit's blowing his lines, and then you're introduced to, I think, show favorite, Bob Hoskins. I love this guy. And he plays this movie so hard-boiled and so straight. He is just stepping right out of, like, Chinatown or L.A. Confidential. Like, he is just grasp, tunes. And then you're introduced to R.K. Maroon. owner of Maroon Cartoons. And basically he's like, oh, well, Roger can't get his head right. His wife's running around on him, and he's
playing patty cake.
Yeah, playing patty cake with the owner of Acme Props, because like all things, I guess it's more of a Warner Brothers thing than ever was a Disney thing, but everything's Acme brand, right? Like Acme brand hole in the wall, Acme brand, silly shoes and whatever, and those all, like the one truck was just Acme brand overused plot devices or something like that they run into.
Dude, that hole in the wall gag still works really well. Like TJ said, the animator's showing off with how it kind of flops around while he's holding it.
It's pretty cool. The whole thing, the way. So you learn, right, that in this world, toons and humans coexist, and and I think we saw something else, like the Chip and Dale movie that I watched last year. It went with this same premise, that all the cartoon people you see they're not drawn, they're actors. I mean, they do say they're drawn that way, but they're actors working in movies.
Well, I think Charles Fleischer is the voice of Chip or Dale, one of those two.
Who's Charles Fleischer?
The voice of Roger Rabbit.
Oh, okay, that tracks. So Roger's all jacked up. RK Maroon's like, listen, here, just do me a favor. We gotta put a pin in this. Go stick with his wife. You find out that Eddie Valiant, that's Bob Hoskins' character, doesn't like Toons, hates Toontown. Great name. Eddie and Teddy Valiant. Doesn't like Toons, doesn't want to go to Toontown. They're like, look, just go to this Toons speakeasy. Go just spy on the rabbit's wife, see what you can dig up, and come back. So he does so. And then you're treated to like a really fun scene with Donald and Daffy Duck playing dueling pianos, and they literally blow the dick out of each other. And then you're introduced to husky voiced Kathleen Turner, Jessica Rabbit.
You forgot about a Betty Boop cameo, which is pretty great.
Yeah, you get a Betty Boop because she's selling cigarettes at
I love the line that she's doing this because work slowed down because cartoons went to color. And she's still black and white. It's dumb, but I love it. I was like, that's cute.
The implication is, I think, that Teddy Valiant had been fucking Betty Boop at some point because there's a picture of her on his desk.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Well, he definitely isn't hostile towards Betty like he is every other cartoon.
No, he's charmed. He likes Betty. He's like, hey, look, you still got it, Betty. Like, he smiles. He likes Betty Boop. So Eddie ends up taking pictures of Jessica and Marvin Acme, who's Marvin Acme sitting there in the review crowd. Jessica comes out, does her thing, then he follows her to the back, and they play patty cake, and that flips Roger out. Go ahead.
Just to go back to Sean's point about you couldn't make this today, just this joke, like alone, could not be in the movie produced by Disney today. Because the joke is that they're fucking, and there's no way they'd be like, oh yeah. I mean, I know ultimately they're not, but like that is not the joke that they're going for.
No, it's not they're going for, because you're only seeing Bob Hoskins' perspective. You're just hearing these sounds that just make you think that he's just a sex pervert, but he's not. He's just literally playing patty cake with this woman because I guess he's kind of touched, but he's also a prop billionaire.
Yeah. Just like Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did with Grimes. So now Eddie gets the photos. Oh, first of all, Eddie Valiant has a wonderful scene. This is something else you couldn't do in this movie anymore. He hops on the back of a trolley car with a bunch of kids because he can't afford to ride the trolley car, and then the kids give him some cigarettes.
Thanks for cigarettes, kids. And he doesn't like admonish them or anything.
No, he says thanks. Yeah. And he goes to the bar at the trolley stop to find out that the trolley, the Red Line, the greatest public transportation system in the world, and especially LA, because that's where they live, has been bought by Cloverleaf Industries, whoever that might be. More on that later. And then he meets up with his, what do you call, is it a mall? What do you call the woman that's not the femme fatale in a noir?
Cloverleaf Industries is actually owned by Dean Malenko.
Nice.
And that milk.
But is there a term for that?
Well, the mole is usually like a criminal's wife. Like that's She's
Once
just
again, the mole is my Waterloo.
She's just the girlfriend. Yeah. I mean, the girlfriend, that's competing with the femme fatale is also a very big noir trope.
It's a standard trope, yeah. Like what's her name in Dick Tracy? Tess Trueheart. So, and this woman, whoever this actress is, she plays it like if Bob Hoskins is playing this hard-boiled and straight, this woman is unflinching.
I don't know
how nice is it to see an older actress, an age-appropriate actress against Bob Hoskins, totally not like a 20-year-old.
It's wonderful, and
all
she's
hearted up.
Alex, did you see all
good?
The people that were considered for this role, and one of them was fucking Eddie Murphy.
Oh my God! I think they said that was one of the biggest regrets of his career was turning this down. But yeah, the list of people considered is insane.
Oh, and for the Bob Hoskins role?
And for Christopher Lloyd's role. The list of people is absolutely fucking bonkers.
Who was Walken on there? Because I could see him doing it.
I don't remember Walken, actually. I'll pull up the list and cover it later.
But Lloyd
Judge
good in
Doom.
this movie.
Judge Doom.
How is your name Judge Doom and nobody knows you're a bad guy?
Yeah, right, yeah.
So, he threw a lot of simoleons around town to get the election. I can't think of her name. Does anyone remember the name of the girlfriend right off the top? I can't recall. Dolores.
Because I kept thinking of Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah. So, her name rhymes with a female private part.
Yeah.
So Dolores.
Mulva.
So Dolores works at the bar that's in the trolley stop, and there's an interesting rogues gallery of ne'er-do-wells there who kind of haunt this place. And this one blowhard comes in, and this scene's hardcore because we finds out that Eddie's working for a tune case.
This man is absolutely filthy, and for some reason it just has a hard-boiled egg in his hand.
He looks like the goon from the Dick Tracy movie. He just looks like a mess. And then fucking Bob Hoskins, once he's had enough shit, fucking kicks the stool out from under him, smashes the dude's chin into the bar rail, and then crushes an egg into his face. And that's when you find out the big reveal from Dolores. The Toon killed Eddie Valiant's brother. And she delivers this line so good. She's so good in this movie. This woman is so fucking good in this movie. Eddie Valiant does his bit, gets the pictures, turns them into RK Maroon. Roger Rabbit loses his mind, and then you find out that someone dropped a safe on Marvin Acme's head. And since Roger Rabbit, wants to avenge or whatever, he wants to win back his wife, everyone's blaming him. So now he's on the lam from Judge Doom and his group of weasels that, I never picked this up as a kid, but because I was watching with the subtitles on, all the words they mispronounced the entire time is pretty good. Yeah. So now you get this cat and mouse thing where...
And only one of them's real racist.
Only one of them. So then, Roger comes to get help from Eddie. You find out about Teddy and how he died, and he used to work Toontown, and
really good little bit of building where Roger grabs a chair and he tells him to get off of it, and he's left fingerprints in the dust in it. Everything's so tactile. The cartoons cast shadows on the ceiling. It was the attention to detail in this is fucking mind-boggling.
They do a fantastic job too of really selling the live action actors interacting with the cartoons. It never feels wonky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they look better at whatever they're looking at than the Phantom Menace. You know what I mean?
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, where they're just kind of staring off into space and you can tell they're looking at a mark somewhere. Here it's almost like they acted it out and just animated it into their hands and shit. It's crazy how good it is.
Yeah. And nobody's everyone sells it so well. Everyone's so natural and matter. It's you're just talking to any other person.
I think Gog said it in a text, or maybe it was Alec, that it was they play it so straight. There is, nobody's winking at any point in this movie.
No. It's really hardcore, and then,
if this movie wasn't full of cartoons with it, it would be a straight, hard noir movie. It wouldn't be a comedy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what like Team America is, but if it's with puppets.
Well, it's kind of like speaking like Edgar Wright. We always talk about like the reason his movies work is they work as parodies, but they also work as the thing that they're parodying, and this does that.
Yeah, it's a great noir movie. It's one of the better ones. You introduced to Judge Doom and the racist weasels and the dip, which is something Judge Doom has invented, which is the only way to kill a cartoon. And he dips a sentient shoe, and it's
brutal,
horrifying.
Yeah, it made me cry as a kid, and it almost made me cry as an adult the other day.
It was tough. It was like watching him do it to a puppy or something.
Yeah,
it was rough.
Yeah. Apparently, that mixture of chemicals is the same mixture of chemicals they use on like cells to erase.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I thought
like the dip actually is what erases like animation and cartoons.
Like they couldn't have done it with the fucking with Gehring's jackboots. They had to use the cute shoe.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the jackboots.
The jackboots literally doing the fucking
the
high stepping. It's hilarious.
So Roger goes to find Eddie. Eddie does not want to help Roger. The weasels are looking for Roger. Roger's trying to explain, I didn't do anything wrong. I got upset. All I wanted to do, I wanted to win her back, so I wrote her a poem. I found this blank piece of paper in her dressing room, blah, blah, blah. And then...
Well, there's also, earlier, there's Acme gets, like, some ink on Eddie's shirt, and he's about to beat his ass, because he's, like, always about to fight somebody or shoot somebody, and he's like, oh, it's invisible ink, haha, like, that becomes relevant later. They do a really good job setting, like, everything up.
Yeah, there's a good amount of reincorporation in this movie. Like, it's like, oh, look, actually a well-written script. Like, it's
and like,
wild.
There's stuff, too, like, and I don't know if we'll touch on it because they're minor points, but I didn't want to let it go by. Like, all the cartoons have to follow cartoon logic. Like, when somebody's chasing Eddie and he changes the road stripe into a wall, she's, like, compelled to follow the stripe.
Right. Smashes right into the wall, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the shape and the haircut thing.
Yeah.
And they're doing the... You want a drink? No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. No, you don't. Yes, I do. If I say I want a drink, I want a drink.
So Roger, he handcuffs himself to Eddie Valiant. He handcuffs himself to Eddie Valiant, and now they're stuck. He's got to go back to the bar, get his gear. They go to a speakeasy room so they get the hacksaw. And then
I laughed so hard at this fucking joke. I was not expecting to, though.
Yeah, because the table's shaking. He's trying to cut the cuffs off, and Roger slips out of the cuff to hold the table straight. And then the look on Bob Hoskins' face, like, you could have done that the whole fucking time. I was like, no, I could only do it when it was funny.
Right? Yeah. I love that.
Is it the same scene where they have the spy hole that's the electric plugs and his eyes poke through and knock the beer bottle over? Like, I remember laughing so hard as a goddamn kid when I saw that in the theater. Like, I was dying.
There's a joke, and it's very minor, but like when they're, the cab is driving the other car and he turns his headlights on his own head, and I laughed so fucking hard.
I thought that was great.
And once again, Dolores is in this scene. She just plays it so straight. It's amazing. Like, just, I don't know, it's brilliant.
Well, there's also something about the LA Confidential thing where every woman, even if they're not really conventionally that attractive, is like crazy hot. Like,
oh yeah.
Herman's handler has like the best hamstrings I've ever seen on a person in my entire life.
Lord. Yeah,
because then you find out about Baby. So he goes back to his place. Baby Herman's there, or this might have happened earlier, but whatever. Baby Herman's like, listen, Roger didn't do that. I've worked with him for years. This is another joke you couldn't get away with: is a 50-year-old man with a 3-year-old Winky.
Yeah. This is a movie where it was...
Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
No, I was going to say, if this movie was made right now, 9 of these characters would be voiced by John DiMaggio.
Oh, yeah. That joke that he makes where he says, he's got a 50-year-old libido and a 3-year-old's winky, like, he's talking about wanting to fuck, but he's got a baby dick. Like, that is insane. Now, I guarantee when I was a child...
existential nightmare, like a lot of this stuff when you think about it.
Literally the character from fucking Near Dark. Like, but that is definitely a joke that went over my 7-year-old head when I watched it. Yeah, that was
for the parents.
Yeah.
So you find out about this, that Marvin Acme had a will, and he was going to leave because Marvin Acme not only owned Acme props and gags, he also owned Toontown, which is where the cartoons live. and it's just a cartoon village on the other side of a wall from L.A. And when he died, he was supposed to leave Toontown, I guess much like when a slave master died and he set all his slaves free.
That's the vibe, right?
Yeah, definitely
When Marvin Acme died, he was supposed to liberate them and give them their independence. So,
well, there's a subtext to this movie that they don't really address all that much, but like people don't seem to value, like, well, one, you can't kill Toons, but then when Judge Doom realizes how to do it, it's like, he just does it.
Nobody cares.
I guess Toon lives don't matter today.
Yeah, right.
So now there's a look, we're trying to find this will, so they go check the probate, and Roger Rabbit's uncle had a bad probate.
It's another joke. It's like a prostate.
It takes big pills.
It was hilarious. It was a very funny.
You idiot, probate. Also, shout out to Bob Hoskins hiding his British accent this entire movie.
I didn't know he was British till I was an adult because of this movie.
Yeah, same.
So we're looking for the will. Jessica Rabbit comes back involved. She's trying to find Roger. She knows he didn't do it. Dolores catches Eddie with pants down with Jessica Rabbit. That becomes a whole thing.
Well, her animated titties definitely mush him.
Yeah, he bonks something. So now we're trying to find the will. We don't know what's going on. If the will doesn't show up by whatever midnight tonight, Toontown becomes up for the highest bidder, and Cloverleaf Industries, I think, is put in the highest bid, or you find that out later. So now we're looking for the will. The Weasels are looking for everybody. They go to find R.K. Maroon. Then you find out R.K. Maroon had also sold his property to Cloverleaf Industries. Eddie puts two and two together, goes to see R.K. Maroon in a very hardcore interrogation scene where he jams the dude's necktie into a film editing device that would, I guess, presumably strangle him.
So fucking violent.
Yeah. And then he gets fucking blasted by a long gun.
And you know what? Like, in a lesser movie, he gets shot, and, like, he gets shot off screen, and then you just see him, like, die, but you see him get shot in the back. Like, they have a swim on his back. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's for real. So then Eddie's like, oh shit, Jessica Rabbit did it. She's bad. They're chasing everybody, go to Toontown. Now Eddie has to, like, knuckle up and go to Toontown to figure out what the fuck is going on. So he goes and he breaks out his old cartoon gun with his semi-racist redneck old bullets.
And they're cowboys. Cowboys.
Oh, it's like, thanks for getting me out of that jam, Yosemite Sam or whatever.
Yeah, I had to pause it and run it back to see who the inscription was.
Speaking
Eddie,
of,
where you bit? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, you go ahead.
No, you go.
Speaking of Yosemite Sam, so I have been miscrediting a quote that I've been saying for years.
My biscuits are burning?
My biscuits are burning. I thought that was from Toy Story. That's from this.
No, it's from
Yosemite Sam earlier, but anyway, go ahead.
Ooh, that's smart.
Dude, the line where it's like, hey, Eddie, where you been? And he just goes drunk. That was no good.
There's another line that was like, weren't you Eddie? Didn't you used to be Eddie Valiant?
Yeah.
Also, they do a really cool thing with this gun, where obviously at first it's animated, but then they like actually have like they made like a prop that looks like the cartoon gun for like wide shots. It looks really good. Like, again, attention to detail in this movie is fucking wild. Like, it's so well made.
Oh, I also missed the scene. I missed the part where Roger's hanging out at the bar while this is going on, and then Judge Doom figures it out. And then he gets Roger to expose himself by doing the old shave and a haircut trick. And then that's where you get the, what Alec mentioned before, the reverse logic, make, Roger have a last drink before he gets dipped. It's just a summary execution, no trial for Toons. He's just about to get dipped.
Well, they're not people, so they don't have to give them due process.
They don't have due process. It's also implied that shit was, like, out of control in Toontown, and, like, Judge Doom was brought in, like, fucking Giuliani to clear up the streets or whatever after he bought the election.
Yeah. So now, so Roger gets a drink of whiskey, goes ballistic, explodes, knocks everyone back like a giant sentient steam whistle, and now everyone's on the lam. Maroon gets got. Now we're going to Toontown because Roger's being shanghaied. You also introduced to Benny the Cab because Benny the Cab was in the back of the Weasel's truck. And I don't know who voices Benny the Cab, but he's wonderful.
Yeah, he's great.
So then, now the movie starts getting silly-ish because once you're in Toontown, you've got hardcore, hard-boiled Eddie Valiant in a world where physics and reason they just don't anymore. So then you get the silly shit like someone's chasing you and you move the stripe on the road and they smash into a wall. It's like Eddie has to turn on his Toon logic part of his brain.
Yeah, but he's worked in Toontown a lot.
He goes into the bathroom to wash his hands, but there's no bathroom there, and he falls on a skyscraper. But then he has time to pause and grab his hat that popped off of his head.
Yeah, he does.
It's just hanging there.
He doesn't fall until he knows there's no floor, right? So they work their way through Toontown. They're getting. This is what I think. Is this where you get the reveal about Judge? Is this where you find out Judge Doom did what he did, or is that
you don't find that
at the
very end? Very end.
So I'm missing a beat here. They're in Toontown. Cars get wrecked up.
No, Eddie's trying to find Jessica, right, at this point, because Jessica fled the scene, and he thinks he sees Jessica in this apartment building, but it's this other lady that's like, oh man! Which is also the way Sean, when he goes to the gym, I assume, is oh man!
So what was the reason that they then left Toontown? She meets up with, Roger gets out.
He ends up running into, I think ends up running into Jessica, but she had already knocked Roger unconscious and had him hidden, basically to get him out of the way so she could figure out
what was going on, right?
Because she knew that Roger was just a liability because he's bonkers.
Well,
so then,
I think, if I remember correctly.
But then Roger
also knows that Judge Doom is behind all of this, and this is where he tries to shoot them.
Yes.
Because Jessica runs into Valiant in an alleyway and draws down on him, and she's like, duck or whatever, and then shoots whoever's behind him.
And then he drops the long gun, and then they go get Roger out of the trunk, but Roger's not out of the trunk anymore, or he's not there, so they hail a cab for Benny. They drive back to Acme, and then Roger is driving in Eddie's old wrecked car, and then meets up with Benny, who got dipped, because they're chasing Doom at this point. Benny gets dipped, and that's where he does the headlight thing. They all end up at Acme's whatever
warehouse
factory. Yeah. So then you find out the big reveal is that 1, Cloverleaf Industries is owned by Judge Doom. 2, the idea is that we're going to buy up Toontown and the adjoining properties because this is where they're planning on making a highway to Pasadena. You find out earlier, I missed this part, that R.K. Maroon hired Eddie Valiant to take pictures of Acme to blackmail him into selling because Maroon couldn't sell his property without Acme selling his property, and then he ends up getting murdered for it once all the sales are made.
And this is the part that specifically feels like Chinatown.
Yeah, because it's a land grab deal, right?
Yeah.
And he's explaining about this, like the freeway and how, it's like, well, why would you use a freeway? We get the red car. It's like, why would I keep the red car? I bought it to dismantle it. Right.
Also, and later on when Doom talks about his utopian future of the highway system, and man, it's depressing.
Oh, yeah. The villain is capitalism again.
Yeah. Again.
It's urban sprawl.
So then, Eddie, it's funny because Eddie's like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Why would anyone like a freeway? This sounds terrible.
Yeah, because he literally describes every fucking freeway and highway we've ever seen. It's like there'll be restaurants and tire salons and,
so car dealerships and, So I forget, he doesn't say fast food, but he's like
rapidly prepared food.
Yeah.
So then, so now Jessica Rabbit and Roger Rabbit are hung up. They're hoisted up using some sort of industrial winch for, I guess, hoisting up funny pianos. And then you're introduced to it's like the machine from Fern Gully, this dip mobile that's going to eradicate Toontown. It's 50,000 gallons of heated dip that's going to get shot out of pressure sprayers, and and through a big roller, and they're going to smash through the walls as soon as midnight happens, because I guess they still care about that, like the rules of property ownership.
Acquisition.
Yeah, and he's going to wipe Toontown off the map, and then they're going to kill Eddie after he watches his friends get melted. So then Eddie gets to go into a singing and dancing montage because he's embracing his silly side and makes all of the Weasel henchmen laugh themselves to death. He gets into a fight with Judge Doom, using a bunch of fun props, which is cool, including a singing sword, a giant magnet, the portable hole.
The singing sword was actually Frank Sinatra.
Was it?
Oh,
really?
no shit. Was it a new recording or was it just?
I don't know. But it was Sinatra.
The scene where Eddie's like holding the giant magnet and Doom's got his cane sword out and he slides forward at Eddie, that's lived rent free in my head since I saw it as a kid. It's terrifying.
Oh, there's a part coming up that's lived rent free in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's probably the same part.
So they get into a glue fight, and originally Judge Doom was going to steamroll Eddie Valiant. They get into a glue fight, and then he gets glued. Judge Doom gets glued to the steamroller, and then he gets slowly steamrolled.
He gets fucking rolled over. It's like so.
The screaming, and like it is horrifying.
But
and it's not even the most horrifying thing that happens in this scene.
The most horrific part is about to happen when his flattened corpse like is animated. Oh god, it's fucking nightmare fuel. When his like flat body pops up and and then that fucking it still freaked me out watching it.
Then you find out that Judge Doom not only is the controlling person, he owns all of Cloverleaf Industries. He bought the election because that was whole. This is good storytelling because they actually tie it all up. Not only does Judge Doom buy the election, Judge Doom is the sole owner of Cloverleaf Industries, but Judge Doom paid for all of this with the bank he robbed in Toontown, which is where Eddie Valiant's brother got killed. And then you find out
he's like, remember that voice, Eddie? Remember? It sounded just like that. It's so fucking creepy.
It's my only. I don't like this. I don't think you need to have Doom be the. It's like the fucking Joker killing Batman's parents. It's like it's too much. I'm
not mad at it.
He's already villainous enough. He's already got like plenty.
I'm
of
not mad at it because the whole idea of a sentient, psychotic cartoon that's coming to murder you is fucking terrifying.
In the name of capitalism, no less.
Yeah.
That cartoon can't be killed until he decided to invent
something
the own way that would kill him.
That's a good
Hoisted on his own petard. But
I also like one thing I wish that the movie did.
When we're talking about the cartoon like murder thing, like the one part I do have questions about is like if they couldn't be killed, how did the weasels laugh themselves to death?
Well, I think because it was funny. And it was like, I think there's certain rules for certain things.
You want to talk about horrific imagery? One of those weasels, when he dies, his soul is trying to grab, like, he's holding on to his ghost, like, not trying to die.
Yep, that's how we're all going to go.
Oh, my God. But no, one little thing about Doom, I wish we could have seen his, like, cartoon form.
Like his true form, right? Because you find out he's in, like, a rubber man suit the whole time.
I would have liked to seen what his form. I wonder if that was in the script at one point and probably just ran out of time.
I wonder if they're really trying to hint that he is a famous cartoon that we're aware of because they're like, I wonder who he really is. Like,
right.
I wonder if that was in a different version of the script.
Yeah, maybe so.
So they battle it out. Doom gets dipped. Roger and Jessica are safe, but Toontown's still up for grabs. But then you find out about Acme reappearing Inc. because the stain on Eddie's shirt has come back. And they're like, Roger, let me see that blank piece of paper you wrote your love letter on. And sure enough, it's the will giving Toontown to the Toons. And we're all happy and everything's better. And the Ditmobile goes through the wall and gets smashed by an express train because that's timing, baby. And that is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This movie rules.
What a fucking achievement this movie is. Like, I'm glad we watched it because I haven't seen it in a dog's age. Like, and I had no idea that this movie's this fucking good.
Yeah. I loved it as a kid, but I loved it for much different reasons than I love it as an adult.
I was telling Alec, I don't know if we taped it off a TV or we had the official like VHS tape, but I watched this movie a million times when I was a kid. I loved this movie.
I specifically remember taping it off TV. Remember when, because we didn't have cable, remember when network TV would have like Disney, I forget what night of the week it was like Disney movie night.
I think it was Sunday.
And it was, and it's tonight's Disney movie was going to be Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It was like a big deal. I remember watching it with my parents, taping it off TV and just watching it over and over and over again.
I really respect this movie because, I mean, one, it's like super creative, but like two, like it is a movie that a kid can watch, but like it's not like dumbed down. Like one of the guys on YouTube I generally agree with about movies is your movie sucks. Yeah. And he always talks about kids movies, and he's like, I don't really review them because I don't watch movies for babies, and that's kind of how I feel about like most kids movies these days. It's like I don't have time for them because there's nothing in them for me, and like this movie, like there's something in there, like there's a real movie in here, and kids can. It's like it's a good movie, and the whole family can watch it. Like you can show this to anybody, and it's just a good movie. Like it's not dumbed down, it's not like watered down. Like kids. You know, young kids can understand, like, hey, there's a bad guy getting shot or what. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not, I don't know. Everything's so sanitized now. Like,
but also the plot is intricate. Like, it's intricate and it's long.
It is a real noir plot. Yeah. It really is. Like, but that again, like, I understood what happened in this movie when I was a kid. Like, I didn't pick up all of obviously the noir references and all that other stuff, but I understood it. Like, I think the thing is nowadays, like they like refuse. They would never make anything like this. Like it just never happened.
And
it's like it's kind of annoying because they don't give. You know, I give movies for adults a hard time because they don't give the audience enough credit. I think that a lot of animated movies don't give kids enough credit. Like
I mean, not for nothing. I'm kind of like I am sort of amazed that this is on Disney Plus to watch. Because you almost think Disney would kind of bury this, like you wouldn't want a kid stumbling across it.
I kind of thought I would have thought too, because of the guns and the smoking and the drinking. Christ, I mean, Bob Hoskins is just hammering that wild turkey the whole movie.
Yeah, he's drunk most of the film until he decides not to.
Like a bottle in his holster, like Tracer Bullet, the Detective Calvin pretends to be in Calvin and Hobbes.
It's just like it's a wild. And I would love to know more about how this movie came to be, because it's unlike anything. I mean, what other movies have even tried this? Cool World.
I'm almost tempted to go back and watch Cool World because I love Ralph Bakshi to an extent. You know, like
but he doesn't even like the movie because his budget got cut really bad, and like it's not the movie he wanted to make. But then again, he says that about every project that he made.
What was the movie we watched with the anime? Not Joe's Apartment, but the
Monkey Bone.
Monkey Bone, right? That was really good. That we didn't.
Did you think it was Joe's Apartment because it was an MTV film?
Yeah, but like this movie's something else, and it's never been.
And this movie's old as shit, and it looks great.
Yeah, it's 88.
It looks fantastic. Like it's just shot so well. The animation's done so well. Like,
I mean, of course, if it was done now, it would all be like computer composite. It would look like dog shit. Like no matter what.
But I mean, like
Space Jam 2.
But this looks better than like Space Jam 1. Like the compositing in that, which was pretty good. This still looks better than that, I would say.
This looks really, really good. Like they did a wonderful job animating this and animating these characters into these like real scenes. I don't know. Yeah. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I love it. It's really good. I'm glad we watched it.
Here's the list of people that they wanted for Eddie Valiant.
Go.
First choice was Harrison Ford. He was too expensive.
That makes sense.
Second was Chevy Chase, but he had no interest.
He wouldn't know. That'd be bad in this role.
I don't know. Back like 80s Chevy Chase?
I think he'd be too he'd be too slapsticky.
Nah, I don't know. Sorry, the medevac's going over my hot tub. They just do loops every now and then just to make sure I'm all right.
No, it's nice of them.
Bill Murray, they sent an offer to him, but I guess he never got it. Or he claims. Eddie Murphy turned it down because he didn't understand what they meant with having cartoon characters and humans in a movie together. Wow. And then they have lists Robin Williams, Robert Redford, Jack Nicholson, Sylvester Stallone.
Jack Nicholson would have been fun.
Nicholson would have been awesome.
Would that have been too on the nose?
Right, yeah.
Ed Harris, Charles Grodin.
Charles Grodin.
Ed Harris, like it's just an animated version of A History of Violence.
And it says to help Hoskins' performance, Charles Fleischer dressed like Roger Rabbit and was like standing in by the camera for a lot of his scenes so he could have like a point of perspective.
I don't think there's many people that could have pulled this off better than Hoskins. None of the people on that list I would have rather seen in the role.
Bill Murray, maybe if he's playing it totally straight, but I don't see that. You know,
I've got a dark horse pick that wasn't on that list that I think might have been able to do it. Gene Wilder.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, maybe.
Tim Curry auditioned for Judge Doom, but apparently he was.
I could see that.
They said producers found him too terrifying.
That's wow.
Christopher Lee turned it down.
Oh my gosh.
John Cleese wanted to do it, but they said he wasn't scary enough.
Nope.
Peter O'Toole, F. Murray Abraham, Roddy McDowell, Sting.
The wrestler?
Yeah, the wrestler.
He's a good digger.
Anything to help me find.
What's wild too is that I said last week when I was a kid I was so obsessed with this movie that I read the fucking book, and the book is nothing like the movie. The book, notably, they're not cartoon characters; they're comic strip characters. That they're still cartoons, I guess, but in the book, they say the comic strips are basically photography they take of cartoons, and Roger is a comic strip character. And he's murdered in the book, and it's like the whole book is about him solving his murder, and then Roger Rabbit like creates like a double that helps Eddie. It's really weird, and all the like there's no Judge Doom. Like it's almost a completely like it's weird that
it's the Peter Benchley's Jaws to the actual Jaws movie.
Yeah, it's weird that they even saw that book and took what they did out of it to make this, because like it's wild because it's completely different. Also, the characters in the book, this is something that I think would be maybe interesting, but I don't know. In the book, all the cartoon characters spoke in word bubbles, so when they talked, there was like word bubbles over their heads. But like,
was it like a picture book, like for kids?
No, it's a novel, but they describe it that when they talked, that they had speech bubbles, but certain tunes learned how to like. Have speech bubbles, so, what's the matter?
My stupid dog just jumped in the hot tub. Caramoya. God damn it.
I respect you being in the hot tub while you're doing this. That's all the level of relaxation. But anyway,
I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
It's just like this movie should get a lot of credit just for being like out of the gate first and being like that fucking out of the gate. You know what I mean? Like this is a humongous swing. Like if this fucks up, like, oh, I guess it's Cool World, but like, I don't know, just the amount of work, because it's like all this fucking hand drawn shit and dubbing and lip syncing. I think so. It made like $385 million.
It made 4 times its money back.
Oh, okay.
So which reminds me, I also watched one other movie that I forgot to talk about. I watched that Rise of Gru Minions movie, and it was fine because my kids wanted to watch it.
Oh, okay.
But that movie made it was like an $89 million budget, and it made almost $1 billion.
Jesus Christ!
Ridiculous.
Yeah, like that movie is printing cash. But this movie was a big hit.
Like, I'm shocked they never tried to make a sequel. I'm sure it had something to do with licensing or whatever, but like, how does this property stay so dormant? I know they made a couple video games, and I'm sure it's in Kingdom Hearts or whatever the fuck, but like...
I think if I remember correctly, they may have made a Roger Rabbit, like, cartoon show. Like,
Do you remember like that
the movie?
Do you remember for a brief moment in time when this movie was hot? Like Roger Rabbit was like the guy who was introducing the Disney movie of the week.
Yes. Yep.
Like he was like their front man for a minute there.
I do remember that. I just remember this movie was everywhere back in the day. But, you know, we were very young.
That fucking LJ and NES game was like dick hard, and I did not care for it.
It was awful.
Yeah, but this is, I don't know, this movie's something special. And,
me and Christopher Lloyd's good in this fucking movie.
He is. There's not a bad performance in this film.
It's an awfully loony song for a bunch of degenerate reprobates.
So I was wrong. They didn't make a Saturday morning cartoon, but what they did do is they made shorts that they put in front of other Disney movies. Like, I guess if you had the...
wasn't there a Baby Herman one?
There was a Baby Herman one that they put in front of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like, they did a bunch of shorts that were kind of like the intro cartoon that they did in this movie. But they never did another one. They said that the Chippendales movie that Goggs was talking about was created as a spiritual successor to Roger Rabbit because of how it was shot.
Goggs said it's like the same conceit, right?
Yeah.
How does that look comparatively? I know it's different because it's CG, but like...
It not terrible. It's not bad. What I thought was cute about that movie was like they were like Chip, I forget which ones, I guess Chip's the one with the hat and Dale's the one with the buck teeth.
Yeah.
Chip, was still in 2D, but Dale got the 3D surgery so that his animation style was different than Chip's. I didn't hate that movie. I think it was like middle of the road for 2022.
So
it's not this though. This movie's great.
I'm on the Wikipedia. Proposed sequel for this movie. Spielberg discussed a sequel in 1989 with J.J. Abrams as a writer and Zemeckis as a producer. Abrams' outline was eventually abandoned. Nick Malden was hired to write a prequel titled Roger Rabbit: The Toon Platoon to be set in 1941 to 1943.
Wow.
Similar to the previous film,
Fighting the Nazis?
Toon Platoon featured many cameo appearances by characters of the golden age of animation. It began with Roger's early years living in a farm in the Midwest with a human...
Before he got drafted to fight the Nazis?
Yeah, that would make sense. Roger and Richie are enlisted in the army. Jessica is kidnapped and forced to make pro-Nazi German propaganda broadcasts.
Oh, like Donald Duck.
Roger and Richie must save her by going into Knox. So this is like the Dirty Dozen with Roger Rabbit. I need to see this movie.
I mean, I'd watch that.
Well, there's the poster for Baby Herman's movie, Herman Sherman's. Also, there's several posters for a movie or TV series called Pistol Packin' Possum, which I kind of want to see.
So Spielberg couldn't do the movie because he said he couldn't satirize Nazis after he did Schindler's List.
Yeah, I guess when you've already done the best satire of Nazis, you could.
Can't do it twice.
Man, but that sounds awesome. Like fucking Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, fuck it. Make it right now.
Yeah, invading a Nazi camp. I mean, I want to watch that. Then you get Nazi tunes. Like, what the fuck does that look like?
Oh, do you think they're fighting? Do you think the Nazis have tune technology as well?
No, absolutely. How do you not make it? I mean, that seems like
some kind of super tunes, though, like rocket powered, like future tunes.
I would go ahead and make Hitler a tune too. Like he would be that. Like that's why he's so evil, right?
Wow.
'Cause he's a fucking like I don't know. It seems to write itself. I mean, I don't know.
I think
go ahead, Al.
No, I guess it wouldn't work. That would be post this, right?
Yeah.
A sequel, not a prequel.
No, it would be this was in 45.
This in the 50s? Yeah. I was going to say they could make Judge Doom Hitler, and then he escapes, and instead of getting revenge on the world, he turns to land management and trying to...
Acme was Jewish.
I think this is after the war, though. I think this is post-war. It's supposed to be, anyway. I think. I could be wrong.
I mean, that's kind of what I figured based on, like, the car designs and stuff.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Five Knuckle Shuffles. Alec with the wet dog and the birthday.
Yeah, that's correct.
This movie fucking slaps.
Yep.
I love it. I love everything about it. I can't believe I still love it so much. I love this movie when I saw it in some random ass theater in Brockton, Massachusetts when I was like 8 years old. And I still love it. And I haven't seen it since then. I don't think I've watched this once since whenever it came out in 88 or 89. This thing slaps. It's a technical marvel for like the shit they were doing then that looks better than stuff they do now. The acting is great. Like Bob Hoskins, like maybe he was one of like the high points of my movie childhood between this and playing Smee and Hook.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins, like apparently he was all over the place.
And Mario.
Oh yeah, Mario and Luigi Mario. But yeah, this movie fucking is absolutely killer. I loved it. And I recommend it for everybody. If you don't like this movie, you can fuck off. Gogs.
Yeah, it's also a 10. Like from the first, like, I haven't watched this. I watched it very heavily as a kid, but I haven't watched this movie since, probably middle school. And I was curious if it was going to hold up. I remember loving it as a child, but I was, we revisit things or, see our Krull episode and stuff doesn't do what you expect it to do. And within the first time that Eddie Valiant kind of like half looks at the camera and grumbles the word tunes with disdain, I was like, this movie's fucking got it. Like, it's so good. Everyone plays it so, it's like, if they played this winky and naughty, it wouldn't work.
Would not work.
If they just played it like, they made a hard-boiled film noir with silly-ass cartoons in it. And and the plot's good. The plot's good. It's better than a lot of movies. Everyone's great in it. The animation's amazing. Everything Alex said. It's a technical marvel. You'll never see anything like this ever again. It's a fascinating piece of film history that I'm glad is not buried and is I'm glad it's not like a lost film, but I'm sort of shocked that it's not a lost film. It's great.
We're just talking about that a little bit.
Budget of 30.
It's crazy that this movie only cost $30 million. Like, it seems like it would be super.
But I mean, like, I don't think you're commanding. I don't think the animators probably weren't paid shit, and I don't think Bob Hoskins is commanding a big fee.
That you're probably. I mean,
it's $30 million in '88. $30 million's not chump change in '88, right?
Yeah.
So, but no, it's marvelous. I'm glad it held up. Is it really a 10? Probably not, but it's a 10 to me. I fucking think this has been a great year. This is my third 10 of 2023. This year's off to a fucking ruckus start.
We got to watch some dog shit.
Not if you pick Tango and Cash, baby. Sean.
It's a 10 for me too, man. Like, I love ambitious movies, and man, they're fucking swinging for it. Like, it is a marvel, and it's like, fuck, why doesn't anybody try anymore?
That's exactly crazy. How I felt. It's like
the amount of effort that had to go into this is fucking astounding, and like the shit they got away with, all the fucking sex jokes and the full on guy getting shot in the back and Mickey Mouse saying you're gonna die, like. Just fucking, and it doesn't, like, there's only a couple things where it's like, all right, I could have done without the Porky Pig saying, oh, I like the sound of that's all, folks. The whole movie could have been that, and it wasn't. Like, it tells its own story without leaning on these licensed characters too much, and maybe that was, like, a thing that was like, hey, man, you can't just have the whole movie be this shit.
Right.
So, like, man, like, it's just a fantastic movie, and like Alec had found out that this was like retooled from an abandoned script for a third Chinatown movie that they didn't make after the Two Jakes fucking bombed.
I've never even seen the Two Jakes.
No, it's not good.
Yeah,
it got made really late too.
Yeah, it's a shame because Chinatown is so fucking good. Like, go see a review on Chinatown.
Roman Polanski was unavailable.
Yeah,
Chinatown sequel. So. Now, this movie's fucking awesome. And, like, I also hadn't seen it since, 1980, whatever, but so much of this shit stuck in my head. The shaving a haircut, the my biscuits are burning, the gonna kill the rabbit, that shit.
Yeah.
The fucking horrifying design of some of the weasels, like the straight jacket one, and like, there's a lot going on in this fucking movie, and it's all good, man. Like, I don't have any complaints about it at all. TJ.
It's a 10 for me, dog. This movie is fucking fantastic. It's creative. It's done well. It has a purpose. It has a great look. Like, it's like you just said, man. It's like back when they tried. Like, I feel like this movie, it ultimately, like, makes me upset because how bad Robert Zemeckis is now. Because, like, this guy in the 80s was killing it. Back to the Future, he used to be fantastic, and he hasn't done much. I don't think he's made anything. Arguably, the last good movie he made was Forrest Gump, and that came out 30 years ago. Like, yeah. I don't know, like, but Roger Rabbit is so fucking good, and it's funny, and like, I don't know, it's like I said before, like, it's just, you don't get these kind of movies anymore. Like, if they tried to make it now, it would be the Toontown Murders or whatever that stupid adult puppet movie was.
Oh god, that shit sucked.
It would either be that, or it would go way in the other direction, and they just neuter the fuck out of it, and there would be the sexual stuff would be toned down, and there wouldn't be any guns in it or smoking, because God forbid that stuff exists in the world. But I don't know, it's so good. It's just so well done. I love all the character designs. I love the thought that went into like I love the scene. There's a great scene in the movie that we didn't really spend a whole lot of time on it, but when Eddie finally like crosses over into Toontown and he has to like think about it, like he does not want to go back to Toontown, and it's like a kind of like a very somber scene. And then as soon as he crosses over, like Toontown is insane, and there's like a theme song playing, and everybo's
they're like smile after smile.
It was awesome. And like, it's just a really fucking good movie. Like, I love it to pieces. I think it's great. And like everybody said, like, I loved it as a kid, and I possibly love it more as an adult, because I just miss when, like, this does not feel like a movie by committee. Like, this doesn't feel like, oh, we need to have this, we need to have this, or, like Alex said, like, it's nice to have an age-appropriate love interest. Like, you don't see that anymore. You would have, you know, I don't know, Ryan Reynolds as Bob Hoskins' character, and like the chick that plays Wednesday as the Dolores character. Even though
Roger's like excited about romance, you know what I mean? Because in a weaker movie, it would just be like, he'd be like, ew, blah, blah, you know, but he's over there like...
Yeah, no, he's like sweet on it. Like he's I don't know, like it's pretty great. Like,
also Jessica implies very heavily that Roger can fuck, because she's like, oh, you better believe it, mister. Like,
yeah, Roger fucks. But it's just really fucking good. I really, really like it a lot. And so it's a 10 for me, dog. So a certified good ass movie.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's like beyond a certified good ass movie.
It's a perfect score for Movie the Podcast.
When's the last time we had one of those?
It's been a minute, I think. We got close with Strange Days, but Alec wasn't there. We all gave it Strange Days 10, but Alec didn't. I don't think he watched that.
I think I missed that episode.
You did.
Yeah, I was in Maine.
So
don't go down that road.
So next week, is it Tango and Cash?
You know, I kind of want to pick Red Dawn, but then I don't want to suffer through Red Dawn. So we're gonna go Tango and Cash. I almost picked Bright too, but I think Sean's on.
I've seen Bright.
Is not good. That was where I was like, the fucking what Toon lives don't matter. That's from fucking Bright. Fairy lives don't matter today.
Oh god, maybe we should pick Bright.
It is. I'd be curious actually to hear The Room, because I don't think it's as bad, because people act like it was like literally the worst movie ever made.
It was not the worst thing I ever saw. It just wasn't good.
It's just a boilerplate kind of bad movie with like an idea that's actually really solid that they managed to butt fuck entirely.
It's David Ayer's version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
We're watching Tango and Cash, because Tango and Cash is an hour and 44 minutes long, whereas Bright is 2 hours and 10 minutes long.
There you go. Phenomenally based.
I also almost picked The Guard, which is the movie that Anthony recommended to me.
Oh, is that with Brendan Gleeson?
and Don Cheadle. It's on the Plex. I'm gonna watch it either way, but
I've heard it's good.
Tango and Cash. I'll put it on the Plex. You want to talk about another movie I watched a lot as a kid? I remember there's a lot of homo jokes in the movie, a lot of homophobic jokes in the movie.
Tango Cash, don't they have a legit tactical, monster truck?
They have like a monster truck, yeah. I mean, it's Stallone and Kurt Russell. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fucking badass. You know.
Is Robert Zadar in that?
He is.
I think so. I think he's the bad guy with his giant face.
I think his name is Face, according to the internet.
All right. That's the show then, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day for those who observe.
If you're in Baltimore, happy Valentine's Day.
Oh boy.
Oh, man, I am beat.
Good time.
All right, everybody.
All right.
You know the drill. Eat your own ass. And
for Valentine's Day.
We'll see you next week. Yeah. Don't give her a box of chocolates. Just eat her ass.
Yeah.
Or eat your own ass. Sure, you don't need her.
A little self-love, a little self-care on Valentine's Day.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night, boys.